welcome back to Truly Heal and Ozone Highlights, a new series that we've created out of all the questions that you've sent. And you know, important things to know or important things you wanted to know about ozone packed into categories and groups. Now, the first one that we talk about today is anti-aging, and it's related to a whole group of questions. Why do I have all of a sudden so much more energy since I've been using ozone? Why do I have a better fat and glucose metabolism? Why does my body respond better to food? Why do I have better rejuvenation, better health, faster healing, disease prevention? And I've recommended to many of you, before you go to clinic, prepare your body, prime yourself for 3 weeks with ozone, and then go. You won't catch a bug, you won't get an infection, your surgery or your wounds will heal much faster, and you will have a much better outcome or result of your treatment. And why is that so? Why does it work in such a powerful way? And the answer is very simple. O2, oxygen utilization. Now, when we look at the word, what does it mean? How well I can use or make use of oxygen in my system. Now, many of you know that oxygen is needed for energy production. So if you have glucose and you turn that with oxygen in the Krebs cycle to energy, you have a strong 36 ATP, very powerful energy production. And oxygen metabolizes fat or glucose into water, heat, carbon dioxide, NADH, NAD, and then finally ATP. So it's the most efficient way to gain energy. Little food, maximum energy, right? But if you have non-oxygen fermentation, which is the anaerobic process, then you produce a lot of lactic acid and yeast and fungi. Cancer is a fungus, and you don't need oxygen for that process, but you have very little energy. And that's why many of the cancer patients have that craving and hunger and no energy, no matter what they eat, because it's not transformed into ATP, it's fermented. Plus, and that's another problem, elderly people, they might eat the right food, they have all the alkalinity and the greens, and they still stay acidic. It's nothing to do with your food. It's mostly related to how well your body is able to utilize, to use oxygen in that process. And that means that's what we need to look at in our today's video. So, what are ways to get oxygen into your system? Very simple. We go into a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, and under pressure, atmospheric pressure, we squeeze oxygen into our system. There's many drinks and drops and whatever to increase oxygen uptake, but there's one big problem to them. They lack or they have a very low utilization. You might have it. See, if you go outdoors, you have plenty of oxygen. But how do you get it into your system and how do you make your body use it? That's not bridged with this problem. That's done by normally exercise. And we all know, oh, it's so exhausting, right? Especially if you're depleted already, then it's very tough. And then you hang over the ball like this guy and you're completely exhausted. Exercise is not something you do once and then you have better utilization. It's a build-up. The first time you go up a path, 20 steps or 50 steps, you're panting like crazy. And what is that? You try to get more and more and more oxygen into your system, but your body doesn't take it up and doesn't release it fast enough into the cells. And that's why breathing is such a pain. You can't get enough oxygen into your system. Now, if you do that every day for 2 or 3 weeks, what happens? You get easier and easier. You don't need to breathe as much anymore. You walk up there without the panting. That's the process. And that's based on that little O. It's that oxidative stress that you create that then creates a cascade of chemical reactions in your body that improve the oxygen utilization. So, when you are tired, when you are exhausted, you have an exercise intolerance. And many of you know what that means, right? Sensitivity to cold, low body temperature, fatigue, exhaustion, low endurance, and as an end result, chronic disease. And let me try to explain that here, how ozone bridges that gap. How ozone actually simulates exercise. So you have O3, 3 O's, and as soon as that gets into the body, because it's very volatile, it doesn't like to stick together, as soon as you enter that into the body, 1 O splits off. And that's a very oxidative process. So that oxidative stress triggered by ozone, by that singlet O, creates a cascade of chemical reactions like NRF2, which is a healing switch within your system. It activates growth factors, an anti-inflammatory response, and that's what is simulating exercise. So if you do regular ozone treatments, you actually simulate exercise. Now let's look at this in a bit more detail. The hemoglobin, which is the red color in your red blood cells, carries oxygen from your lungs through the whole body, through the fine capillaries, to every single place, organ and cell in your system. And as soon as those cells have the oxygen, we learned, they turn it into ATP by turning glucose, which is what you've been eating, turned into glucose, into energy. And that's why you have endurance and lasting endurance and energy. Okay, those red blood cells live for about 120 days and are made in your bone marrow. So when you start using ozone for the first time, or let's compare it, you go for the first time exercise and you trigger the first round of new red blood cells to be built that take up oxygen faster, release it faster and are more pliable, then that takes 120 days for all of those red blood cells to be exchanged. Because that's the process. O3 activates the production of super pliable, fast uptake, F oxygen, and then release it to the system in the same way. And super pliable means they can squeeze to every little place and provide that oxygen. Now that takes 120 days for all of those cells to be exchanged. And that's pretty much what we learn when you do exercise and you do interval training or any kind of exercise, that it takes about 120 days for you to reach a good performance. Now with ozone, you simulate that process and you bring yourself already to that state. And you know, anti-inflammatory cytokines, release of growth factors provides the body with excess oxygen. We've already learned that. So drinking ozone water, 1 glass a day, and using an insufflation bag once a day simulates gentle exercise. How cool is that? So when you are depleted, you are tired, you are in your bed, you can't move, you really don't have the energy to exercise, you can do a rectal insufflation. You can drink a glass of ozone water and it simulates exercise. You do that for 120 days. Your system is primed, you're completely energized, and then you can add physical exercise on top and feel fantastic. The panting release, you know, there is no more need for that excess panting. And that's what we have. Dr. Schallenberger said very nice. Exercise, ozone is exercise in a bottle or insufflation bag or syringe, whatever you use. So it's true. And this is just a short recap. It breaks down glycolysis, accelerates glycolysis, breaks down ATP, which is that 10 reactions that are necessary to convert glucose into those 3 carbon molecules, NAD, NADH, and ATP. It increases the release of O2 into the hemoglobin. We said it triggers that fast release and fast uptake, and it increases red blood cell pliability to make it soft and squishy to fit through the finest capillaries and release the oxygen there. And now I guess you have the answer. You realize that having more energy is directly linked to ozone. It's that exercise in a bottle that helps you break down fat and glucose into more energy, rejuvenates hair and skin and repairs with all the growth factors and NRF2 and healing switches that are turned on. It increases better health, faster healing, disease prevention. And if you go to a clinic and you're in that depleted state, you know, lack of oxygen, your body doesn't handle stress or exhausting things, and then you have surgery, which is very exhausting, any disease is, then you don't have defense. Now you build up, you build up, you build up resilience, and you go and you have no catching bugs, no getting infections, faster wound healing, and much better results. So it is actually a very easy to understand concept. So how do we get ozone into our body? That's pretty much the only question left, right? Well, rectal insufflation, females have the option, especially for the whole lymphatic system, to do vaginal insufflation. It goes through the fallopian tubes and the uterus into the lymphatic system, and you can treat breast cancer with vaginal insufflation. So it's a very powerful treatment, and these two are related to everything lower. And then you drink ozone water, which deals with your mouth, esophagus, tonsils, or the lymphatic system here, and it goes, and it pretty much ends at your stomach. So treating Helicobacter pylori and all the different gut bacteria that are dangerous can be done, but it doesn't go further. So you need to come from top and you need to come from the bottom up to have that systemic effect. And to do that, we've put a package together which has an ozone generator, which is medical ozone, an oil bubbler for breathing ozonides into your lung for lung infections, ozone water for washing, disinfecting, sterilizing, treating your teeth, everything you can do with ozone water. And then a whole package with treatment bags and insufflation bags and stop valves and everything, including 6 little oils that you can use for topical use, for disinfecting, sterilizing little wounds, or vaginal treatments, or massaging it into your scalp for hair treatment. Everything included in one package, and that makes it very easy. And to answer all of those questions related to ozone that we get every single day, we've decided to create the Ozone University. And you can see here at trulyheal.com/ozone, you have everything you need to know. How to set up your ozone clinic at home, how to connect the syringe, how to connect your insufflation bags, how to make your water, how to bubble oil, everything explained in great detail, step by step, very easy, so that you can follow at home through with that process. We also cover the 6 most popular treatments, and I've added all the research from Germany, how they use it, Fieber and Hensler protocol, the Cuba protocol, the Italian protocol, all there, what dosages they use, how strong, how weak. And that's really helpful if you go through, because you might have a certain inclination what helps. I came to the conclusion it doesn't matter what dosage as long as you use it. Ozone seems to be a switch that you turn on. See, some doctors use mega doses of lots of ozone and others use just tiny bit, and both of them have very good results. So the conclusion Dr. Lamberto Re in Italy had was, it doesn't matter, as long as you use it, it's a switch. It turns on that self-healing, it turns on that oxidative stress, and that's why it's exercise in a bottle. That's why it's a healing remedy that turns on all your self-healing mechanisms, and that's why it provides the body with oxygen all at the same time. So it doesn't really matter, and don't get stressed with your concentration. Build up slow and slowly increase in volume and intensity. And then we have also disease related, very important. If you have cancer, it's a different protocol for cancer than infectious diseases, open wounds, infected wounds, diabetic gangrene, everything is covered. You will find a protocol for leaky gut, for ear infections, sinus infections, all on that page. So go over to trulyheal.com/ozone and learn how you can use ozone at home in a very, very safe and simple form to achieve all of those fantastic results.